I started Clapped Out in April of 2015, and my mom's birthday is April 14th. So you'll see 414 on some of the shirts and some of the pictures and stuff. There was I would use her birthday and a lot of stuff back in the day. That's beside the point. My message at the beginning of this video is directed solely at mothers, and that is thank you so much for all you do. If you are lucky enough to have your mom in your life still and you are not spending Mother's Day with her, shame on you. You need to give her a call at bare minimum. At maximum, you need to shower her with presents and gifts in all of your time because she busted her ass to get you into this earth, and you should do the same for her in life. So that's my brief spiel on Mother's Day. Rest in peace, Mom. I know that you're watching my antics and just cringing at how corny I turned out. Let's start the show. Good morning. That's how I want to start the video today because I'm a salty peanut. I bought a transmission for my Mustang like a month ago, and I keep getting the runaround from the guy that sold it to me. So I wanted to put a trans in the thing this weekend. I wanted to put a transmission in it. I wanted to show off my sick monster clutch that's going in the car. I had this whole thing planned, and guess what? My balls got curved because I still don't have a transmission or a tracking number or any kind of response from the seller. So instead of that, we're not putting a trans in. We're gonna do something else for this weekend segment, which I was trying to save to make it this big old deal where we spray the hell out of the car and it's like, surprise, Nitrous Express is on board. But I can't do that now because I got screwed on a transmission. So long story short, I will never buy a transmission on the internet again unless it's from a known good seller. And number two, I will drive to a location to purchase a transmission and take it home with me on the spot. Luckily, I paid with non-friends and family. I paid it as goods and services, so hopefully I'll get my money back out of that deal. Or hopefully the seller has a good reason for not shipping my transmission this whole time, and I get it in my hands, which would be dope. I don't care. I just want a shifty McShifterson in this car. Come on, dude. So in place of all that, let's take that drama and throw it in the F it bucket, and let's look at what we got on the notchback for this segment of Logan is trying to lose weight. He's building a street car at the same time, and his boobies still touch his stomach, but hopefully they won't touch his stomach much more any longer. I always do that. That's the same sound effect I make for every time I introduce parts, and I'm sorry that you have to deal with it. But either way. If I had the ability to do special effects, there'd be like a fiery cauldron and then like a devil that comes down and he's like, make sure you spray it all. Spray it all. But I do not have that ability. If you watched my videos, first of all, I'm sorry. And second of all, there's no special effects here. It's just good old work ethic. So Nitrous Express, my boy Aaron and NX Gonzo Video. I'm wearing this hat not just because I like the hat, but I just happen to be wearing this hat. Hat. But Aaron and the Nitrous Express crew, they hollered at me and they were like, hey Logan, and I was like, what's up, dude? And I felt kind of guilty because I don't know, like 3 years ago. Like 3 years ago, Nitrous Express helped me out on my RX-7, and I ended up not running Nitrous for very long. So I felt bad about that whole ordeal because I wanted to help represent the brand, and I did a piss poor job doing that. So when they reached back out to me this time, I was like, hey guys, I still feel guilty. I am very sorry. And they were like, yeah, you suck. However, we think the notch is dope, and we'd love to partner with you on the project. And I'm like, oh my God. I started crying. I'm assuming they started crying because it was really kind of an emotional thing. And we ended up getting a hotel room and spending the night together for a little bit and just kind of saw where things went. Had some wine coolers and watched a little Boy Meets World, and then kind of talked some stuff out. So that was good. I'm happy to have been involved in that. Now that whole spiel's over, let's look at what we got. We have our Nitrous Express 10-pound, oh, tons of cat hair. God, I put that arm out of here. Nitrous Express 10-pound bottle. We have their complete plate kit. So the plate, if you are not aware of how nitrous kits work, the plate will go, or this specific kit, that plate will get sandwiched between the throttle body and the intake manifold. It'll spray nitrous into my engine. They also equip their kits with their big dog solenoids. This is a wet kit, so we have fuel and we have nitrous solenoids. The lines to hook that stuff up. They give you your electronics. They give you a wide open throttle switch for a pedal if you want to run that. I will be using my Holly to trigger the kit, so I will not need this. And your nitrous feed line, some mounts for your bottle, everything you need to spray the lights out of this car. So again, a big hearty shout out to Nitrous Express. I would be way more animated and excited, but this morning was filled with drama from me not getting my transmission like I was told I would have. But if we strip all that away, I am super stoked to be able to work with them on this project. Everybody's doing turbo builds, everyone's doing blower builds, and I don't think the nitrous crowd gets enough love. I personally love nitrous. When I was younger, I literally put a nitrous kit on anything I owned, and would like my 03 Cobra, on my 03 Cobra, I plumbed a dry nitrous kit up through the filter. I had one of those JLT intakes, and I would legally race it on the track against other people, and I would freeze the mass airflow sensor by third gear, and I'd have to try to coast to the finish line, which is some of the fondest memories I have of racing were those days. And if you are a homie from back in the day, you remember like Stern and Swanberg and Silver Glen and all these roads that I shouldn't be saying the names of because I don't know if they still use them or not. But Chicago suburbs, that's where all of us idiot kids that didn't really know what we were doing, that's where we got some races off, which was a ton of fun. So, no more nostalgia for now. We got this to put on. I also got my wheels, and I really do love them. That's all you get. That's all you get. They're sick though, aren't they so sick? They're so sick. I kept it 4-lug because I'm a 4-lug thug. And I'm also very cheap. So, yeah. Okay, all right. Back to actual stuff on the car. Don't worry about all this stuff. This needs to go back into the interior. It's just a holding spot. But Nitrous Express, when they send you the kit, it comes with, like I said, your mounts, electrical stuff, wiring, hoses, plate, everything you need to make this nitrous kit run on your LS powered vehicle. Obviously, they have kits for a bunch of different applications, but this is specifically LS. Now, when I bought this car, it already had nitrous bottle mounts in the trunk, so I'm not gonna rip these out and replace them. They do just fine. I'll end up giving these mounts away on our page to somebody because I'd rather spread the wealth than hoard everything for myself. And that brings up these two, and I'll get to that later. However, first thing is mount your bottle. The nitrous bottle should be mounted in the trunk area or outside of the passenger compartment. If this is not possible or practical, an NHRA-approved blowdown tube and vent fitting must be installed. The positioning of the bottle should be shown as such. This will allow the siphon tube to be covered at all times. The mounting bracket should be assembled on the bottle with a short bracket about 2 inches from the bottom. Do you see? Do you see this? The long bracket should be about 7 inches above where the lower bracket is. Do you see? Do you see? This is how you mount the bottle in the trunk. Just for the record, I was reading a script. I don't really read off scripts very often, but I feel like the safety of mounting a nitrous bottle, I should probably follow the instructions. Otherwise, I would have just dragged it behind the car with a chain and just hoped it turned on at some point. I'm kind of rough on stuff. So you got your bottle. Your bottle's on an angle, you got your siphon tube that's always gonna be picking up, and you got your nozzle pointed down. This car has already been drilled for a nitrous line. So you can't see it, but behind the bottle, there's not a fitting, but a hole in the trunk that I can fit my nitrous line through. And this main feed line, I will run underneath the car, secure it nicely, all the way to the engine bay. Okay, so actually, this may be a stock hole in the Fox body floor pan. I'm not sure. This is the first time I've ran a nitrous kit on a Fox in a very long time. But goes down through the floor pan in that hole. You'll see underneath, it comes out on the frame rail right there. If you're doing this right, this should have a rubber grommet if you're doing it correctly. Now, when you look at this line, you got an evap line that I've zip tied it to, and then I come off that main evap line mounting point, and I just use a rubber clamp there and there, run it along the subframe connectors, cross it up, get up off my fat back, and it comes over, it hugs the K-member, goes over the K-member, comes out right here. I don't know if this is gonna work or not yet, but I gotta mount my solenoids, my plate, and then figure out where we're gonna final run the feed line, and then clean all this wiring up too. Okay, if you're using an eBay throttle body like me, you're gonna have to pull off the idle air control valve in order to get these top bolts or nuts, depending on intake, out. You're gonna wanna unbolt your throttle body. Well, you gotta take the throttle cable off first, you dumbass! Okay, now that I'm ready, unbolt the throttle body, cool. Set that in a safe spot. Now you're gonna take your Nitrous Express plate, okay? You're gonna make sure that it has the jets facing the right way when you install it. And if it's installed correctly, it should, let me try and figure out. Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It should read legibly, O-ring should be facing you. You can see the orientation of the jets. So you slide that on. Boom. I have a new O-ring on the other side of that. They provide you this O-ring, and then on goes the throttle body. Sick. You have enough thread on each side if you're running a truck intake to throw your top nuts back on, and they provide you new bolts to bolt in the bottom side. So once you get plate mounted, like I just showed you, you're gonna mount your nitrous and your fuel solenoids. On the fuel side, I'm gonna be using the test port of the fuel rail. It's a stock Trailblazer SS fuel rail. So take the Schrader valve out of this test port and run a 4AN90 fit. This, I actually had this hose laying around. This does not come with the kit, but a 4AN90 all the way to the back side of the fuel solenoid. And then the nitrous feed will go into the feed side of the nitrous solenoid. And both of them will bottom feed with the stainless 4AN to 3AN lines at the plate. Now on this side, you'll have your jets will be here, and on the other side, there's two open holes so you can plumb either side. They equip you with plugs, so make sure to plug whatever holes on the plate that you're not using. And if you want to see the brackets that they send with the solenoids, there's two screws that mount to the bottom of each. I just went right off that fuel rail boss that's right there and just hung them out over there, and then ran the fuel feed line around the back of the manifold. It's not the cleanest in the world, but at the same time, it's stuff I had on hand, and this is a budget project. Sweet. Switching gears from the nitrous kit stuff, I cannot final wire the nitrous stuff until I have the interior back in, so I'm pressing pause on the wiring side of nitrous, but I still need to wire in my fuel pump. On the Terminator X kit, it comes with these 3 leads. Well, there's more than 3. There's 2 more on the inside of the cabin, but these 3 specifically, one of them is a green wire that says fuel pump. If you watch the other video I put up, this fuel pump wire is not to be used with a pump that'll draw, I believe, over 15 amps. I have an Aeromotive in-tank pump that I'm sure will draw more than 15 amps. So what I have to do is wire in my own relay and use that green wire as a trigger for my relay kit. So in order to do this, you're gonna need some supplies. I sell this combination as a package on the Dynasty website. Dynasty is obviously where I'm employed. So we sell a combination weatherproof relay and fuse holder. It'll come with one of each and the pins that you need to properly wire this in. So this will be a feed. That trigger, the green wire, will become a trigger to cut this relay on, and this relay will feed power to my pump, and then we'll have an inline fuse holder from the main battery side. So if we get a little spicy, it'll pop the fuse and not burn the car to the ground. So this is gonna be, it's on the Dynasty website. It's sold as a kit. We keep them on the shelf at all times. This is the type of stuff we use to wire in aftermarket fuel pumps, because OEM wiring on a lot of stock applications cannot handle the juice that these big boy pumps need to run. So I have heat shrunk the end of those wires with a little split loom, and I run it into the chassis. And my main power feed wire, you can see it comes out of that hole. What you're gonna do is feed the wire through the back side of the connector and then crimp it on the other side. So if you crimp it before, you can't get it in there. You got to push the bare wire through, then crimp it, and then what you'll do is you'll draw it back into the relay connector, and you'll hear it snap in place. There's so many times where I have pinned these before and crimped them and not put it through the relay connector and just hated myself for it. So make sure you take your time on that side. So everything is rough mounted, nothing's finalized, but when you run main battery power to your fuse holder, it's the same style clip as what I just showed you. So you'll actually crimp the ends on, and then you'll pull it through. You have to push the wire through the connector first before you crimp, because otherwise there's no way to get it in from the back side. Okay, so this will go on my main battery terminal when I finish redoing them. That's how I bought them, so I'm gonna throw some new ones on there and clean that end up. So that'll go to main power to your fuse. So you can see how these fuse holders work. It's literally just a fuse holder. So those pins actually accept the fuse after you pin them in and pull them through the connector. There's your main fuse from battery, and that goes to your relay. So power from fuse to your relay. And then you have your main trigger wire. The green wire off the Holly, if you remember, was in the engine bay before. I then routed it through the cabin, back through the firewall, had to butt connect and extend it up through the back quarter area, over the back wheel well, and around here, around there, to the relay. So this is going to trigger this relay on instead of just power the fuel pump itself. And then you have a ground coming off the bottom of the relay that is down there. That's a shared ground with the main fuel pump ground as well. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You got your main power, your triggered power, your power out to the fuel pump, and your trigger in from the Holly. Both of those mounted, you're done, ready to rock. So I made a fatal mistake this morning. I did not weigh in before I had a big hearty breakfast, but I want to touch on I'm shifting this weight loss journey plan based around Kentucky's recently released reopening guidelines, and I'll explain why in detail. So when I started this diet plan, the goal was to lose 5 pounds a week, and I was under the impression we would have fitness centers to go to before long. The governor of Kentucky has released his Reopen Kentucky plan, which doesn't involve allowing fitness centers to open until the 1st of June. So that's awesome. I understand that completely. We can have asses to elbows in Lowe's, at Walmart. We could have all these major large stores open, but having a fitness center open where people can help their health and increase their ability to fight off this virus, is not in the cards, which is complete BS in my personal opinion. I had a lot of people reach out to offer meal plans and fitness plans and things like that when I started this. Truth of the matter is, fitness used to be a huge part of my life. It used to be my every day. I'd be at the gym for at least an hour. And since starting my career professionally in performance automotive, I haven't had as much interest or passion for that, but it's still in my blood. I miss it an absolute ton. My initial commitment was a lofty one, and I hate that I wasn't able to maintain that 3 weeks in a row. But at the same time, I have to do what's best for me and my health, and me and my health means not forcing or rushing weight loss to where when I get off this diet, I just skyrocket back up and end up back in the 255, 260 range. The heaviest I got in the last 6 months, I got on the scale and saw 269.7, and that's when it shocked me, like, oh my God, dude, you need to get your ass back in gear, especially when I was 205 to 210 for the majority of my early and mid-20s. So long story made short, the new goal weekly until gyms open back up is going to be 3.5 pounds per week. So this time next week, I want to hit 240.5. That's my goal, 240.5 pounds. And we'll go from there week by week. Hopefully gym centers and everything opens up sooner than expected, so I can get on an elliptical and start getting my booty in gear. Leaving work and beating rush hour, getting home, and trying to get to the gym was always a struggle, and now I miss that more than anything. I would love to be able to just hop up in a gym and go to work. So for now, the sweat box in my garage is going to be the gym, and hopefully we can get our asses back in gear as a nation. This is the most political I'll get in a video. I'm just really disappointed in the way a lot of the states are handling this epidemic. But at the same time, I can understand both sides of the fence. There has to be some sort of bridge, though. People are losing their jobs, you know, by the hundreds of thousands and more. Like, at what point are we going to take a step back and say, all right, let's figure this out a little quicker? Admittedly, that process is way above my pay grade. I don't expect to understand what some of those government officials are going through right now, trying to balance all this stuff at once, keep people safe. So again, long story short, 3.5 pounds per week. I'm gonna hit 240.5 next Sunday. This week, I do have a huge giveaway from UPR still. We're giving away a UPR anti-roll bar. That's gonna be live today, and I appreciate everybody watching. Hopefully next week we get some parts in so we can start rolling through some of the nitty gritty on the notch and hear it fire up. Everybody have a blessed week. Kick booty later on.